Hello, all. Greetings from the United Center, where Rutgers, for the first time in 3 years, has won a Big Ten tournament game. Rutgers defeated Minnesota in a close, dramatic. Sorry, Phil. I had the video on the background. In an exciting, different pace kind of game, depending on the timing of the game. A defensive first half, a back and forth offensive second half. But Rutgers pulled away in the final 10 minutes. Played well defensively to force 5 turnovers in the last 10 minutes. Outscored Minnesota 25-15 in that span and pulled away to advance to the third round of the tournament, where they will face UCLA tomorrow night. Before we dive into the game, and there's a lot to talk about, obviously, let me know in the comments how I sound. I don't have my mic set up, and I'll be transparent here. I didn't anticipate being here for a second night, so I packed a bit light. I'm going to have to push back my flight, get another night a hotel room, and eat some crow for shortchanging the Scarlet Knights. I got to admit, I'm surprised, especially given the way Minnesota played in Minneapolis against Rutgers, the way Rutgers struggled to defend them. And at times tonight looked like they were going to struggle to defend them, their motion, their open looks, their multiple shooters. But I think the thing that ultimately decided this down the stretch was Rutgers just had more bodies. Rutgers was fresher. Minnesota was a bit run down, and Rutgers really took advantage by that with, in my opinion, a really smart deployment of the press. They didn't press from the start, but they waited towards the end. They kept themselves within 5 points the whole game. And the last 10 minutes, they pressed hard. They discombobulated Minnesota with the pressure. Again, forced 5 turnovers in the last 10 minutes and managed to pull away in the end and hold on. So a lot of, praise to be handed around. One, again, for Steve Pikiell. I thought he did a really good job of adjusting, defensively down the stretch with the pressure. I thought they dealt with the zone about as well as they could, despite some early struggles. They had 22 assists on 25 made shots. That's got to be, if not the best of the season, one of the best. And look, let's start with the start of the game. They got everything they needed out of their star player, Tariq Francis. 29 points on 9 of 16 shooting, 5 of 7 on threes, including making his first 4 attempts, 6 of 7 on free throws, all in the second half. 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 2 rebounds. That's the performance you need from Tariq Francis to win games if you're Rutgers. He hit deep shots from 3. He hit some tough contested mid-rangers. He did everything Rutgers needed from him in a first half that was not really productive offensively, aside from himself and Emmanuel Obole, who we will also praise heavily later on in the show. And he pulled through. He finished the first half with 16 points, outscoring the rest of his teammates. So very impressive performance from Tariq Francis, and his 6 of 7 on free throws keeps him at a point where he will become, so he is currently shooting for the season 90.4% on free throws. That's 23rd nationally. That is on pace to be the 3rd best free throw shooting season in program history. Number 1, he has no real chance of catching the top 2 because they're just ahead by so much. But Steve Kaplan is the record holder with 92.7% in 1969-70, and Bob Lloyd is second place with 92.1% in 66-67. Francis is on pace to pass Jeff Billett from 95-96, who was exactly 90%. So, in other words, Tariq Francis is on pace for the best free throw shooting season by a Scarlet Knight since 1970. And Rutgers as a team is on pace for its best free throw shooting percentage as a team since 1971-72, I believe. If not 71-72, then 70-71. And it paid off. It paid off down the end when Minnesota was trying to claw back and hit a couple of shots at the end when the game was already out of reach. But it was out of reach because Rutgers was nails at the free throw line. So an underrated part of their success in these games. And look, again, we've talked ad nauseum about Rutgers struggling against teams above them in the standings. Well, now they've beaten the team above them in the standings. And again, they didn't beat Michigan. And it would be a whole other level if they beat UCLA tomorrow, obviously. But it is a feather in the cap. And to continue, just to finish off my point with Steve Pikiell deserving some praise here, at the end of the game, he's walking off the court. He's the last one, obviously, because he's getting interviewed by the Big Ten Network. He gets a nice hug from athletic director Kelly Zinn, who's waiting on him into the tunnel. And he gets a nice ovation from the fans who were in attendance, including some guys behind me who were, I think, tailing Rutgers money line, and we're very excited about that as well. So some good fun with these tournaments in that sense as well. Emmanuel Bole, what a performance! I mean, the middle part was not great, but the beginning and ending were excellent. He finishes with 10 points on 5 of 6 shooting, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks, 1 steal, 2 turnovers. He hit his first 3 shots in the first 4 minutes for 6 quick points to give Rutgers a bit of a offensive juice early on when no one else was doing anything. And at the end, he blocked, he had 2 blocks in the last 3:30 and 3 blocks in the second half. Just really, when Minnesota was at its last ends and needed a bucket, he was there to get 2 big blocks to shut the door. Big time performance from him at center at a game where Bryce Dortch only played 4 minutes. Rutgers did go small ball at times with Dylan Grant and Darren Buchanan. Again, each of them deserve some praise as well. Darren Buchanan only 6 points, but 5 rebounds and 7 assists with no turnovers, spraying the ball all over the place, finding open teammates. Dylan Grant, 6 points, 3 of 6 shooting, cleanup work off the glass, some putbacks, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. Good effort on both ends. Jamichael Davis and Haroon Zerno both deserve credit for the second half. Each of them hit 2 big threes in a period where the game is going back and forth. Minnesota's hitting a 3, Rutgers is hitting a 3, Minnesota's answering, Rutgers is countering. Again, a first half that was essentially a rock fight with almost as many turnovers as made field goals turns into a shootout in the second half, and Rutgers is able to keep pace on both ends until they can gas out Minnesota and pull through. So what does this win mean? That was the reality in the last month, in the month of February, when they took advantage of more accessible opponents. They have now won apologies for the quick math, 5 of their last 8 games. 2 against Maryland, 2 against Penn State, 1 against Minnesota. They went 1-1 against the Gophers, and obviously they lost against Michigan State. But Rutgers moves on to the third round of the Big Ten tournament. And frankly, at this time of the year, it doesn't really matter how bad you were or good you were during the season. It matters how good you are in March. Crazier things have happened. Now, Rutgers will be a sizable underdog against UCLA, and UCLA obviously has more talent and depth than Minnesota. But if they defeat UCLA, they will be back in the quarterfinals of the competition for the first time, which I'm realizing right now I might have miswritten in my story. Never mind. It would be the first time since 2021-22, and only the 3rd time ever that Rutgers reaches the quarterfinals of the Big Ten tournament. And this will be much more akin to the first one when Corey Sanders leads them to wins over Minnesota and Indiana before falling to Purdue. I might have forgotten a thing or two I wanted to say, but I want to go to your guys' comments first so that I don't feel like I'm ignoring you. J-Mac says, as Dan Patrick used to say on SportsCenter, you cannot stop Bole. You can only hope to contain him. I mean, credit where it's due. Great game from Emmanuel Bole on both ends of the floor. Did just about everything Rutgers could have asked for him. And look, we've said multiple times on the show that he doesn't get passes from his teammates. They don't look for him. They look for him at periods in this game. And aside, he didn't miss one attempt, but a couple of times he got the ball inside and made the layup or got a dunk and made those passes worthwhile. Minnesota just didn't have the size and frankly couldn't afford the foul trouble if they tried to be physical with him. I did ask Manny, who he got a flagrant 1, flagrant 2, whichever one is the less severe one, for a really hard elbow he gave on a Minnesota defender. I do think to some extent his size just makes it like there didn't seem to be any malice in the movement. It's just he's a humongous human being, and in moving he hits the defender. I did ask him, does he think he gets punished just for his size, and he said absolutely 100%. So it's something he's going to have to fight against there. But other than that, flagrant, I thought he had one of his better games of the season. Why in the world was Battle Out on the floor, Mark Greenberg asks. I think to counteract the zone, for having more of a passing presence, Rutgers was not going to win this game off dribble penetration because they don't really have anyone that could do that. But Battle Out held his own. I mean, he didn't score, right? He attempted 1 shot, but he moved the ball. Played 4 minutes, wasn't great defensively, but I don't think he was a 0 or a negative, I should say, in some games, like he was in some games this season. I don't think he accentuated, but I saw what Steve Pikiell was trying to do. I didn't think it was the worst idea of all time, though it was surprising when he checked in. J-Max says, Brian, when the season is over and we start thinking about who is retained on this team for next year and what the NIL cost might be, Francis sure looks like he's played himself into $1 million player. The money is always difficult to guess because the market can always change, and it depends on the role you give him. If you want him to be your starting point guard, $1 million is the starting negotiation for that. If you want him to be your backup guard or your shooting guard or a guy that rotates in and out and is not the main guy like he is this season, then maybe you can, bring that money down a little bit. I'm not sure what Rutgers wants Tariq Francis to be next year. I don't have the answer to that. And I think what they want from him is going to determine what the price could potentially be. I've made my feelings known on what I think they should do. I'm not going to rehash all that, but I think for tonight, he certainly made a heck of a case for being a leading man with his scoring. Certainly, I think there's no dispute here that he would be a huge asset for Rutgers next season in an ability to score in spurts, an ability to create for himself. And I think, obviously, he would accentuate their offensive capabilities. But they cannot depend on him as heavily as they do now because tonight was exhibit Z of that. Scott Tribuker says they cannot give Obole a hard time tonight as he did his job. Still have no idea why Battle played 11 minutes. I think he only played – oh, sorry, I was looking at the second half box. No wonder I thought he played longer than that. He played 11 minutes. Again, I just didn't think he was – I don't think it was a negative. I think it was fine. I could see where he was coming from with that. It must have confused the Minnesota coach as much as it confused me. Good win. Yeah, it's a good win. It's a good win. I think it's a win that Rutgers can hang its hat on and feel good about. For whatever semblance there still is a momentum going into an offseason, I think that's really overrated, but it is something to hang your hat on. 8 more until a Final Four. Keep the dream alive. NC State did it last year. Why not Rutgers? There are many reasons why not, but the dream is still alive, no doubt about it. Mark Greenberg says Lino Mark really needs to work on his outside shooting. He wasn't even close. That is the main concern with him, right? He has the athleticism. He has the ability to get to the rim. The issue is his finishing around the rim. And aside from the last month where he was scorching hot from 3, the outside shot is a concern there. So I think the law of averages or whatever, he regressed to the mean here. And, again, I think it's impossible to expect him to shoot 50% on threes again, but if you can get him to shoot mid-30s, that'd be good. Tonight was not an encouraging sign of that, obviously. John Harding says this team exceeded my expectations when they won 12 games. Now they have far exceeded my expectations by avenging the loss to Minnesota. Great win. I won't argue with that. That's subjective. I would agree that it is a good win. And I didn't think they would win a game in the Big Ten tournament, so they exceeded my expectations in that sense as well. Mark Greenberg says that without Francis in the lineup, this team gets destroyed. This team would not have anywhere near as much offensive firepower. No doubt about that. Again, in the first half, he outscored his entire team. And aside from him creating things by shooting deep threes and creating for his own one-on-one, there was really not much offense there. Right, Science Fiction says the ball movement was crisp on offense. The game plan was obviously to break down the zone through the middle with either Francis or one of the forwards. Our center was a beast tonight. Generally agree with all of that. Baraja, says great win. The vets played well. Tariq, Davis, Obole, Buchanan, and Grant. Zerno came alive. Lino and Powers disappointed, but they are young. I agree with essentially all of that. I thought the 5 guys that you named, actually the 6 guys, all played integral roles. Obviously, Tariq leads the whole way because he scored 29 points in 2 different crucial periods. But I thought Davis and Zerno were vital in the second half. Obole obviously played his role on both sides. Buchanan more of a muted, and Grant too, more of a muted contribution on the glass and passing the ball, but agree on all counts. J-Mac says, need to give J-Mac a little love here. He has squeezed every bit of talent that he has for this team, and I hope we get another year of him. JaMychal Davis had a great game tonight. Absolutely. There might be something to that, squeezing every bit of talent, but that's part of what makes the conversation. I'm not sure that he is a guy that you can lean on as a winning Big Ten team, a Big Ten player. And the other thing is also, does JaMychal Davis want to come back as a role player? He's a senior. He has 1 more year left. He could be a starting guard at Chattanooga or something at that level if he wanted to, I think. So those, that's the other part of the equation here as well. Barrage says they played together and were connected. Can they take it to UCLA? What does Ken Palm have the game as? Ken Palm has Rutgers as an 11-point dog. I would guess the Let's see what the betting sites have it as well. Let's see if there's a line out right now. Hold me here, folks, because I am curious. Let's see. Yes, so the FanDuel has UCLA as an 11.5-point favorite. So it would be a heck of an upset. That's for sure. Obole should get some love as well. I agree. This was, if not his best game, certainly a top 3 game he's had at Rutgers. I mean, no doubt about it. A lot of praise here for Obole. Everyone's saying the sound is good, which I appreciate. Skip Parks says, great game. Was watching at a bar in Vermont. They even put the audio on for the upset. Rutgers spreading the block R all over the country. Sky Park City, good thing to have to stay longer. Yes, I guess. We'll see how much longer, right? Mr. Beef on Orleans, it's the real spot for the bear. You have a full day in the Windy City to kill. This is true. I've also been told the Wiener Circle is somewhere I have to stop. I'm going to have to make a decision on that. I can only have one meal, obviously. But I will have the full day, and I will probably sleep the morning in because I'll be up all night writing, but we shall see. Thank you for the recommendations. I'll take any more recommendations in the chat. Musically says, had we not started Francis, we would have lost by 19 again, and Francis would not have broken Sanders' record. You still think Francis is best as a bench player? Glad Pikel finally woke up. Yes, I still think he'd be best off the bench. Let's not rehash that on tonight, a night where he had one of his career games and broke Corey Sanders' record. That's a heck of an accomplishment. Again, this is very reminiscent of that run to the quarterfinals where Corey Sanders essentially put the Scarlet Knights on his back. That's what Terry Francis did tonight. Hobbs P, interesting YouTube handle there. Terrific game. Credit to Coach Pikel for having his team well prepared and competing at a high level. I think Steve Pikel certainly deserves credit. 1, for having the team focused. 2, for having a good game plan to counteract what worked against them in the game against Minnesota in Minneapolis. And for, again, just I thought really smart decisions as far as timing of the press and really putting Minnesota under pressure. Those free throws matter. Yes, Rutgers hit free throws when it mattered today. What seed would we get in the NCAA if we win the Big Ten tournament? At best, an 11 seed, probably 12 seed. No, probably a 12 to 13 seed, I would guess. They're just not going to make a high major team of 13, 14, 15, or 16, but I would guess probably 12. Yeah, it's a 12. Curious says, great win. Let's go beat UCLA. What are the chances we beat UCLA that recently pounded us by 32? The thing is that, much like Minnesota, these losses were on the road, and I think Rutgers is clearly much worse against Minnesota in Minneapolis, and that very well could be true against UCLA because Rutgers had won last year at Rutgers. So maybe at an neutral site, it's better. Am I being trolled here? The way Coach Pikel has improved this team exponentially this season speaks to why he's among the nation's top coaches, and Rutgers fans are very lucky to have him for years to come, says at Hobbs Patrick 1960. I mean, am I being trolled here? If this is the real Pat Hobbs, please put something in the chat that only you would know, because I just refuse to believe that. And if it is, thanks for watching, Pat. I appreciate you tuning in, and hopefully no hard feelings. So this made my night. Right Science Fiction says, hoping Leo Mark is motivated and locks in against UCLA. Zone kept him out of the paint tonight. Knit In says, I guess we won't see Newell tomorrow either. Too bad. I didn't check in on that. That's a great question. Didn't even think about it. He was in a boot. Looked like he hurt his ankle against Penn State. I would guess not. But who knows? The boot sometimes is also just a precautionary. But no, I would be surprised because it's a 24-hour turnaround. But we'll find out 3 hours before the game. In the future, is it worth the trip out for this tournament? As a fan, I would say probably if the team is better, like has a better chance. There really was not much of an atmosphere there. It's the early rounds. But I do think this tournament and all postseason college basketball is awesome if your team is like a legitimate contender and you get there, you watch the 4 games, especially because Rutgers is the last game. You can get here at noon tomorrow and enjoy a full game of college basketball, sometimes some really exciting games, and then your team plays last. So I felt bad for this has to be a troll. This has to be a troll. This has to be a troll. I do not believe it. This has to be a troll. I will choose to believe this is a troll. But anyway, if it's not, I appreciate the no hard feeling. But yeah, listen, I think if you can afford to make the trip out and you have a good feeling about Rutgers sticking around, I think certainly it's a worthwhile trip. Um, but don't be foolish like me and only book for one night. I would say book for multiple nights, and if the team is knocked out, you still have another day of hoops to watch. What are the keys to beating UCLA? Well, UCLA is top 25 defense, top 50 defense, top 20 offense. In Big Ten play, they're sixth in the league in both. The number one three-point shooting percentage in the league, but only 13th in two-point percentage. They take a lot of bad mid-range shots. Sounds familiar. They don't take a lot of threes. So run them off the three-point line, force them to take a lot of tough twos. They don't get blocked or turn the ball over a lot. So just make them take a bunch of tough shots, as many as you can. Defensively, they don't rebound very well, so get a lot of second chance points. They're not great defending the two. So get inside and do what you can. And they don't give up a lot of threes, so take as many threes as you can. I guess those are my keys. Limit Donovan Dent. Make sure you guard Tyler Bilodeau on the perimeter and Trent Perry as well. I don't think Sky Clark is back, is he? Sky Clark is back, and that's another thing. Sky Clark did not play in the game in Westwood, so UCLA, while some teams have lost guys as the season's worn on, UCLA has gained a guy and one of their better players. David Simchak says that Michigan State is already sweating. Michigan State obviously would be the opponent if Rutgers beats UCLA. Professor Brian Oskolnius for misspelling win-win. Yeah, I'm way too tired to be worried about misspelling, and I'm worried about getting out of here and catching an Uber back to my hotel, which is by the airport, and then writing for tonight. It's gonna be a long few hours for me, but I think Rutgers fans will clearly take that. Alex is probably a 12 seed like Georgetown, Oregon State. That sounds right to me. It would be great to get revenge against Michigan State. I would caution you to worry about UCLA first before getting to Michigan State. HJG says it's a troll because Patrick Edmond Hodges is a Rumble guy. I don't think so. I think he's more of a YouTube guy, if you get what I'm saying, than you know. Stay at the Hyde House West Loop, walkable to UC and great neighborhood. Well, that would make sense if my planning was a little bit better. My planning was not great. And maybe in 4 years or whenever, when this returns to the United Center, if I'm still on the beat, I'll plan it better. But I will deal with my poor decision of myself. A bully must be a beast tomorrow, or else it's a guaranteed loss. I mean, that's probably true, much like Rutgers needs another big performance from Tariq Francis. That's asking a lot, but you need a lot when you want to win games this late into the season. Michael Broadbent of the Night Report podcast says this game cost him a perfect prediction on the season. He had Rutgers going 13-19, 6-14 in the Big Ten with a first-round loss. This is exactly like losing on the last leg of a parlay. That has happened to me approximately 12,000 times. So while I'd like to have sympathy for you, it's brutal, man. You got to get the last leg insurance so that you can make money on this. But in all seriousness, it's a good prediction. I think most people were in the same range as predicting where this team would land, and most of us were right. You were obviously the most correct. I'm not trying to put that down, but my point is that like it's amazing how predictable this team was. But until the very end, when I think all of us predicted them to lose to Minnesota, they win the game. So I guess you can never really know for sure. Sky Park City says you hope we have many more late nights. Better move to a closer hotel. If Rutgers wins tomorrow, I will stay somewhere in the city. Will this team be better with Derek Simpson still here? Eric Romantowski asks. Derek Simpson, who was named first team All-Atlantic 10 on today, had a great year with St. Joe's, helped them finish a surprise third place in the Atlantic 10 behind, elite team St. Louis and always good VCU. Really good pass first point guard he's been this season. Not terribly efficient offensively, but he's the engine that makes that team go. I watched them play against LaSalle on Saturday at the Hagen Arena, which great venue, by the way. And he looked great, mature, just a metronome for that offense. And his defensive ability, just as far as his physical traits, were still there. So, yes, I think the answer is undoubtedly yes. I mean, at worst, the second best player on this team. Some of that is how good he is now. Some of that is the lack of talent on this team. But I think undoubtedly Rutgers would be better if he was still here. Infinite MPG says he almost missed this. Well, welcome in, brother. You could always go back as well. Where are the future sites of the Big Ten tournament? Future sites. I think they play in Vegas soon. So they play Chicago this year. They play Indianapolis last year, Chicago this year, Indianapolis next year, and Vegas in 2028. Those are the future sites. I can't do another Vegas trip. I might go bankrupt. So Musically says, imagine if we had Ace, Dylan, and Francis playing together. I mean, you're talking about three of the most ball dominant players in Rutgers basketball history. That would never work. I mean, that would never work unless there were three balls, I guess. But I think you guys have to think about fit when you're thinking about these things. It just wouldn't make sense. Ace Bailey shot. Okay, so let's see what they're. So Tariq Francis right now is taking 32% of his team shots. 32% of the shots when he's on the court. 1 out of every 3 shots Rutgers takes with Tariq Francis on the court is Tariq Francis. Last year, Dylan Harper took 28.6% of the shots when he's on the court, and Ace Bailey took 29.6% of the shots. There's just not enough shots to go around. So I would disagree with that. I think Rutgers last year, the issue was not the lack of ball dominant guards that can score in isolation. The issue was a lack of supporting cast in guys who can take 3-pointers and make them, a center who can regularly create offensively and also is not a complete stiff defensively. The lack of a guard who can penetrate and create for them as well. A third scorer. There were so many issues with last year's team. The issue was not the fact they didn't have Tariq Francis. I think Tariq Francis, again, on last year's team would not be a good fit. I don't know how much he would play because, again, Patrick Hobbs says, does anyone know how you can delete a YouTube comment? This on the chat, I honestly don't think it's possible. So sorry, Patrick. I did see Michael Broadbent. I did see Mike. I don't call you Michael. Mike, I saw your tweet. It is what it is. This is exactly what we all predicted when the season ended last year, that forever, every time Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey have a good game or a good season or do anything, win a championship, whatever, people will think, what the hell happened at Rutgers? That's why the impact of last year was not just the immediate gut punch of not making a tournament with those two guys. It's going to be a recurring, just hum in the background, and occasional gut punch that Rutgers is going to take every time their name comes up. Here's the quote for people that want to read it. He just does so many little things that win games. I didn't watch much Rutgers last year. It was just him and Ace Bailey, but I can't imagine him being on a losing basketball team. Well, I would tell Bill to save his time from watching the games last year because it's not worth it. All right, guys, I've been on a lot. You guys have asked a lot of good questions, and we've talked a lot. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? I don't want to keep rambling for rambling's sake. And I do have to get back and do some work. And Rutgers has to prepare for a game tomorrow, which is the cursing and the blessing of tournament basketball. A win is fun for 20 minutes, and then you got to focus on the game tomorrow. But the positive side is that if you get on a roll, it's just euphoria every day for fans, for players, for coaches, for everybody. So, I don't really have much more to say. I think we hit on everyone's contributions. I think this is a rough end for Minnesota. I thought they had a really good season, showed a lot of promise under Niko Medved, and I think they're a team that people are going to have to look out for in the Big Ten for years to come, particularly if you can get more of a deeper roster. Musically talking in Portuguese, and it's reminded me that Sporting got mollywopped today, which feels like it was 12 years ago at this point, and now I'm sad again. So on that note, let me go through the Discord to make sure nobody is having a question. All right, again, last call, guys. I'm going to go through my usual spiel at the end. If anyone has any more comments to say, throw them in there. If not, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. If you're not subscribing, please subscribe. Please like this video. Please stay at the Rutgers Hotel. I wish there was a Rutgers Hotel in downtown Chicago so I could stay there because it is the best hotel in New Brunswick, the best sponsor in the Rutgers sports universe. But on that note, thank you guys for tuning in. And I will see you guys in this very same seat probably tomorrow night from the United Center, where Rutgers will take on UCLA in the third round of the Big Ten tournament for a shot at the quarterfinals against Michigan State. Fun times in Piscataway, surprising times in Piscataway. I will see you all soon. Have a good night.